Okay, I'm recording. Alright, leaving Jumping Off Rock. Heading back to the highway. Should take us about 40-45 minutes if we don't have an accident. It's a pretty technical section of this road right here. Lots of big dips and ruts and stuff you have to avoid. So we made it up here, got my wife on the back, and we're on our 2007 V-Strom DL1000, running some 70/30 tires. Pretty standard suspension setup, and the road's not real bad in a lot of places, but it gets kind of narrow and filled with some pretty big chunks of potholes, big ruts in the road all along the way. I've tried filming this ride before, actually coming from Highway 178 up to Jumping Off Rock. My GoPro seemed to cut off at about 24 minutes in, so I'm going to have to remind myself to start the recording again if it cuts off. I'm filming with a GoPro 3 Hero Black. My GoPro Hero 3 Plus Black is having issues. It doesn't want to record more than about 2 minutes when you first start, and then it'll cut off about every 10 seconds. So I'm trying it with this one, with a Cena Bluetooth back on it to record voice and that kind of thing, narration, navigation, whatever. So this is a stretch of road that's about 11 miles. There's a squirrel through some pretty rugged backwoods areas. There's you'd think you see a lot of wildlife here, but I don't. Never seen any big game up here. Never seen bear. Never even seen a deer up here. The squirrel is about the first game I've seen on this road. I don't know if it's because it's so heavily hunted, it's hunted out. This property belongs to Duke Power, and they allow people to come up here and ride on these roads. They keep some of them gated off, so this is the main way in and out right now. In the winter and the fall, they open up another section. And there are some other roads up here they'll open up occasionally that you can ride on. But this 10 or 11 mile stretch of dirt will take, depending on how fast you ride and the kind of bike you're on, somewhere probably between 30 minutes and an hour, depending on your riding style. Riding two up, there's some campers in here. Riding two up, I typically take it much easier. The road is washed out in quite a few places, and last time I was up here, my son Will was with me, and as you can see, they've got some crush and run right through here where they've been patching the road a little bit. And all that was brand new and very hard to navigate. My biggest fear on this road is not really going down as much as it is meeting another vehicle in a really uphill or downhill area where it's going to be hard to stop. And this little area right here starts one of the scariest places because it's all new gravel, and in the center it tends to be rough. And if you ride on dirt much, you know, or dirt roads much, gravel roads that are washed out, you have to navigate back and forth across the road to try to stay out of the worst of the ruts. And so you're crossing that center all the time where the loose gravel is. So, and if you met somebody coming down this road, you'd have to give them leeway. A lot of Jeeps and back road vehicles that travel this path they're nice enough to let you around, but occasionally you're going to meet some in a bad area, and it's just really not a good place to put your foot down and stop, because getting started, especially on a bike this big, this heavy, getting started again on a steep incline with loose gravel is not fun. So we're hoping we don't meet anybody in any of the worst sections of the road. Not only do you have to contend with ruts and stuff like that, there's occasional trees and tree branches that are down on the side of the road or low hanging. And that changes just about everything. Every time I come up here, some different obstacle you have to be I try to make mental notes as I come up and down these roads where the best path is going to be, because sometimes it just sneaks up on you and you really don't know until you're right on top of it and making changes at the last minute. Like this stick sticking out right here, something you want to avoid. It could be very painful. You know, puncture a tire or actually throw you right off the bike or break your foot. So you got to be mindful of things like that. Probably going to be a long video, so if I ever do get this out on the interwebs for people to watch, I'll probably speed some of this up, probably cut some of it out. Don't know if there's really any use of posting the entire ride, because some of it's pretty tame, pretty easy. I think the more technical areas will be, the more rough areas will be the places that people are going to want to see and want to know what they're going to be running up against. I would say this is much, much easier than going up places. There's a road around here called Pinnacle Mountain Road. If you approach Pinnacle Mountain from, try to think of the name of that road, off of Cascade Lake Road, you can get it to it that way, or you can come up Green River Road. Anyway, if you approach it from that way, it doesn't seem so bad in the very beginning. I've taken it on in my little Kia Sportage, a two-wheel drive vehicle, and I made it okay. Actually, my other son, my oldest son, drove that day, and there were some hairy spots where I didn't know if the Kia would even make it, and I was thinking, my goodness, if I was on a motorcycle, I don't know how I would approach this, because we're crossing some boulders and with some really deep ruts in between, and on a four-wheel vehicle, it's a little easier to do. On two wheels, it gets very hairy, especially if you're on a big bike. So I wouldn't approach that. I wouldn't try that one on this bike. Although I really, really want to, because it's a cool road, and it's a pretty long stretch of gravel. So if you like doing off-road gravel, that's a great place to go. Maybe if I had a GS 800 or a 650 V-Strom, I might try it on 650, but I'd probably be more comfortable in something like a 250 or 400, something a lot smaller, lightweight. Something made for trail. Plenty of nice overlooks on this road that you can enjoy as you go. Places to stop and take a break and look at the scenery. Jumping off rock itself, I'll post some pictures with this video if I ever post the video. It's very scenic. It's overlooking Lake Jocassee, and probably going to be a great place to see the eclipse on Monday. We met some people while we were up there that specifically have traveled up here from, I think they said they were from Alabama. Yeah. And so they're staying with family on Lake Kiwi or Hartwell and
Kiwi.
Kiwi, and they've come up for the eclipse. So we chose to ride the dirt today, or this gravel road, because I figure with all the people coming into Western North Carolina, they're predicting Transylvania County is going to see about 300,000, and that's about 3 or 4 times the normal amount of people that are in Transylvania County this time of year. That traffic's going to be really hectic. All the rooms are sold out. Campgrounds are sold out. I even noticed yesterday when I was coming down from Sapphire area that there were people in campers just parked off the side of the road. Had their expanded sections out, and they were setting up camp. And I guess they'd gone as far as they were going to go, and decided just to camp there on the side of the road, which may not be such a bad idea. I don't know. I don't know if the police will be able to harass them and run them off or what. So we'll have to, I guess they'll have to just wait and see what happens there. What was that, Joe?
I was asking if that was even legal.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to imagine that land, unless it's a right-of-way there that the state owns and maintains, that land probably belongs to somebody, and they may not want them there. So I noticed a lot of the golf courses and nicer communities had their grassy areas out in front of the golf course and around the communities either blocked with logs or just caution tape, to keep people from parking on their nice grass. So, how people are today. they assume a lot. They assume it's okay to do whatever they want, and I'm afraid some of them are going to find out the hard way that that's not true. No, it doesn't stop them, though. That's one thing I appreciate about growing up in the 70s and 80s. There wasn't so much of that assuming going on, assuming that, you know, just because it's there, you can do whatever you want. And people these days don't seem to care very much about the law or people's privacy or land or anything as far as that goes. It's free for all. So.
You know, I had a patient the other day that has a place in Tybee, or used to live in Tybee, and they said that on Saturdays, that if he didn't get out of his driveway by like 6 a.m., he wouldn't get out because people would just come along and park in his driveway to go to the beach. And I'm like, I would have put up barriers. I wouldn't have let that happen.
Yeah.
I thought that takes a lot of nerve, parking somebody's driveway and block it.
Yep, sure does. Like I say, people assume a lot. I think the socialist mentality is wreaking havoc on our society. People don't teach their children manners. They don't have manners themselves, and everything just goes to hell in a handbasket. Sorry about that, honey. I tried to dodge that one. Didn't quite see it in time. I like to slow down when the road drops down just to make sure there's nothing coming, so I can get a chance to set up for the road and know if I'm going to have to be dodging vehicles. Like being able, one thing I like about doing stuff like this with a motorcycle is I can use the entire road to my advantage and try to stay away from some of the worst areas of the road, and not beat yourself up too bad, but every once in a while I want to sneak up on me. So the way the sunlight hits the road, it takes my eyes a second to adjust to some of the potholes that are in those little spots of sunlight. Nice little view right there, long range view. Sometimes you'll see people camping right in here, and just anywhere they can pull off.
Well, there's actually camping spots.
I'm really surprised that there's not more people up here camping. When we came in, we passed several vehicles, and that doesn't really bode well for a motorcycle trip up here, that much traffic on this road. Generally, we won't pass anybody. But this time of year, there's still people out exploring. School hasn't got back in session here. They'll start here in North Carolina until Wednesday next week. So a lot of people are trying to get out and get their last little bit of fun in before school starts back, which I don't blame them. But I really am surprised that I haven't seen more. I'm sure there's wildlife in here. They're seeing me and I'm not seeing them. But
they're just not close to the road.
If you've been Cades Cove over in Tennessee and any of those places like that, and Great Smoky Mountain National Park in that area, you know, you see bear and deer and elk, a lot of stuff all the time, you know, even when there's lots of traffic around, because I guess they're just used to that amount of people. Well, up here, there's just not that many people coming into this area, so I think the animals are still, rightfully so, very leery of humans, so they tend to stay, I guess, off the beaten path. But there's other areas right around here, up toward what they call YMCA Camp Greenville, that I've seen big bear, several of them, and deer, and just a lot of other things. No elk up that way, but there's a camper there, but just not in here. Of course, this is pretty rugged terrain, so I don't know if the bear actually get in here, this area or not. They stay down in the wilderness areas. Here goes a couple of hikers. I don't see that very often in here either.
Well, that's because they're usually on the hiking trail, not on the road.
Big Laurel Road, that's blocked off. I wonder where that goes.
The next downward spot is where you said to watch out.
Yeah, this is this little section right here. It gets real rough.
Yeah.
And there's some gullies down in here on the road. They're not terribly deep, but they're deep enough on a motorcycle. It can cause you a lot of harm if you're not paying attention. And when I think the big one's on the right-hand side here, so we're gonna hang to the left.
Oh, that's a good one.
Try to avoid it.
Further down, I think. Maybe
it's right there. Yeah. It actually looks worse when you're going up than it does coming down. Probably wouldn't be that big a deal if you went into it on the downhill side, but the uphill side, that might cause you to bog down. I know some of you are probably going, oh my God, this guy, what's he talking about? This isn't hard compared to what I do, and I've seen the YouTube videos, the guys flying up and down roads like this, and worse, up through the woods, just making their own trails. And you know, I got my wife on the back of this thing. This is a very much different bike than what you're going to fly through trails on, so a lot heavier. You put your leg down on a little dirt bike, well, you can probably kick yourself back up. On this bike, you're able to snap your leg off at the knee. So you got to be careful. Oh, Prius, wonderful. Yeah, well, people will try to bring their cars in these areas, and they're risking it. I mean, I've seen it done, but there's, especially a car that sits that low, they get themselves in trouble real quick up here.
I sure wouldn't bring a car.
No. Heck, I don't even like bringing our truck because it beats to death.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't like with all the foliage and everything. You can go slow enough in the truck. It's just either meeting a vehicle or scratching up the side.
Yeah.
Because it's so big, it's hard to get out of the way in certain places.
But you can see these big ruts through here. You can imagine what that do to the underbelly of a car.
Yeah. I wouldn't come in anything other than a Jeep, a truck, or an SUV.
Especially if it's wetter weather.
Oh, yeah.
Good top of this hill. I'm going to start the second part of this video because we're running up on about 20 minutes. I don't think we'll get all the way through it before it shuts off. And I want to try to capture the whole route. I don't know why. I've got my GoPro to film continuous. I don't know why it automatically shuts off 24 minutes. I got to do some research on that. There might be some way of fixing that. I don't know what's going on with my other one. It's all of a sudden started having trouble staying recording. So I may have to update the firmware on it or something, but I don't know what the deal is there. I would be thrilled to see a big bear or a deer up here on this ride, but I just don't think it's going to happen. It never has happened so far.
I'm not so sure I'd be thrilled to see a bear. Maybe a deer. Of course, I guess the bear would be more scared of us.
You'd hope.
Yeah.
going to stop right here and start another section of film.